On April 7th, 2018, me and my dad made the trek up to Folkston, Georgia for the annual RAILWATCH celebration. The day was full of promise, starting off on a good note with CSX train A794 screaming south through Hilliard, Florida. 20 minutes later, and we had arrived in the Promised Land just in time to witness the passing of train Q455. In the fourth slot today on 455 was one of only 5 SW1001s on CSX's roster, number 1127. Originally built for the Reading Railroad in 1973 as number 2610, it was bought by Conrail in 87 and renumbered to 9410. With the Conrail split came that of the railroad's motive power, 9410 apparently awarded to CSX. The switcher was renumbered to 1127 and has miraculously survived the infamous CSX roster cuts for 19 years and counting. The SW1001, a 1,000 horsepower model built by EMD, is most easily recognized by its curved cab roof and stout stature. I certainly never thought I'd see one in 2018, but as the saying of RAILWATCH goes, you never know. Hot on 455's heels was Amtrak train PO97 southbound to Miami. After 97, things were quiet for a while, giving me the chance to fly over RAILWATCH and all its participants. This event has been held annually ever since the construction of the platform in 2001 and is arguably one of the biggest railfan events in the Southeast, if not the country. People came from all over the map for anywhere from one day, like us, to a whopping week-long stay at the Folkston Funnel. Hearing QO37 on the scanners, we all assumed our positions just in time for its surprisingly sudden passage through the small town. I knew pacing 37 with the drone was not a viable option, so I kept the Mavic grounded and enjoyed the view from the platform. An hour later found train Q608 rounding the corner to the south, nearing its destination of Waycross. 608 is out of Mobile, Alabama, stopping at 5 yards along the way, including Baldwin and Moncrief. A794, which runs as a turn job south out of Waycross to Jacksonville and back, was also coming north. This is the same train we started the day off with at Hilliard, except the locomotives have ran around their train, and engine 4031, which was originally trailing, is now in the lead through Folkston. Minutes later, and it was EO41's turn to steal the show with empty coal hoppers out of Orlando's Stanton Power Plant. With clouds gathering and rain droplets dropping, we moved under the cover of shelter into the Folkston Railroad Museum. There were two lovely train layouts running today, one being a traveling N-scale layout and the other the museum's permanent Lionel layout. The rain had lightened up just long enough for train QO32, hot intermodal traffic out of Jacksonville's Duval Ramp bound for North Bergen, New Jersey. QO32 today is what used to be QO34. Both are high-priority intermodals to North Bergen, single-stacked to accommodate low clearance through the tunnels up north. QO34 used to have almost 100% trailer on flat car, or TOFC loads, while today's 32 has a mix of TOFC and intermodal containers. Maybe this operational change was what warranted the symbol change, although, who knows. None of this really matters as the trains are flying by you at upwards of 70 miles an hour, but it's still fun to try and figure out the method, or lack thereof, to the madness of the railroad. With the downpours beginning, we moved under the depot for the day's second Q455. This is the same train that went through a couple hours prior and, like A794, has been turned around in Jacksonville and sent back north with more cars for the giant classification yard in Waycross. 40 minutes later, and the rain was still falling hard enough to warrant another depot shot, this time of southbound autorack train Q237. Just over an hour later, with the rain still falling, it was time for the hottest train on the system, daily northbound train QO26, double stacks from Jacksonville to Chicago. Today's 26 was an absolute monster, checking in at over 14,000 feet. This high-priority train carries FedEx, UPS, CSX, and other hot traffic. While a train of this length is usually quite surprising, even given CSX's recent initiative to lengthen trains, 26's size is not unusual. This train is the longest train out of Jacksonville, having to quintuple daily out of CSX's Duval intermodal ramp. 8 minutes later, and up next was Q609, Waycross to Mobile mixed freight. Next up was the star of the show, CSX empty ethanol tanks on K889 running out of Baldwin Yard today. Motive power was a BNSF Ace followed by a BNSF Gevo, and with a friendly crew, it really didn't get much better than this. Deciding to brave the rain for this awesome lineup, we went all the way down to the signal masts in order to get a railfan-free shot of 889. Normally I wouldn't be too concerned with all the people getting in my shot. It is RAILWATCH after all, and that's part of the fun. But I decided to get finicky with this train, and for good reason. The BNSF duo powering today's 889 went down on the previous day's Q237, Autorax to Baldwin. The power was then spun around to face north and thrown on a cut of empty tank cars brought into Baldwin and dropped off by Q604. A short 10 minutes later, and Amtrak train number 98, the northbound Silver Meteor, was charging through Folkston with the Phase 4 Heritage locomotive number 184 taking the trail. We didn't know it at the time, but this would be our last train in Folkston. Although we said goodbye to RAILWATCH, our night was just beginning. Going on a tip that there was a rebuilt Canadian Pacific AC-44C6M and 2 Union Pacific GEs on NS 210 out of Jacksonville, we made a beeline for Crawford. No sooner did we get there, and so did CSX Q442, pounding through the diamonds with 10,000 feet of train moving from Tampa, Florida to Waycross, Georgia. After checking the approach lit NS signals only to find disappointment, the choice was made to meander our way south to Simpson Yard, where 282 was doubling out ahead of 210. Making our way through true Florida, we pulled up on 282 just as they were pulling forwards. That light in the upper middle of the screen is 210's headlight, which would follow 282 out of the yard.
Take the signal.
NS mainline trains doubling out of Simpson Yard always stop at Birdville, at which point a crew van drops off the conductor. A couple minutes later, and 282 is off to Highball North, bound for Chicago. .210, unfortunately, went about the same procedure as 282, only much, much slower. It took almost 40 minutes for the train to ease its way up to Birdville. Finally, at 9:12 p.m., the crew van showed up with the conductor. Another 10 minutes passed before 210 was given a green signal and notched out of Birdville. This lineup was well worth the wait. 3 Class 1 railroads on one train, a phenomenon I've only ever seen twice before. One of those times I was standing in this exact spot, watching this exact train, with an almost exact NS-CP-UP combination. This brought our Rail Watch day to a close, ending the day just like we started it, on a good note. Thanks for rail fanning with me today, and don't forget to stop on by next time.